What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about a sleeper weapon, in my personal opinion, that I have found to love. This is a world drop item, the Senuna SI6 Sidearm. This is a stasis weapon in our Kinetic slot that I think absolutely annihilates in the PvP realm. It is so good in my personal opinion, and it's in our Kinetic slot, which I know the buzzer also just came out, which does have slightly more range than this, but this thing shoots so quick and slaps. Plus it has a very good pairing for the PvE realm and that stasis synergy. Now, before we get into the stats on this weapon, going over its origin trait, Omolon Fluid Dynamics, this weapon has increased reload and stability for the top half of the magazine, so basically an intrinsic compulsive loader. Now, as you can see, these are the stats right here for our PvP weapon for this, with 55 range, 92 stability on this, and that 16 meter fall off, which really isn't that far underneath the buzzard, which is at 18.5, which is the longest in the game for a sidearm in the PvP realm. Now, this thing is a 3-round burst, so it absolutely annihilates guardians when you're going through the PvP realm, like I said, and when we pair it with some of our funner stats in the stasis realm in PvE, also crazy synergy. But starting out right here for our PvP perks, we have Hammer Forged Rifling, which gives us a plus 10 on that range, allowing us to have that 55 with 16 meter fall off, which is very far in my personal opinion. Now right here, this adds to that laser beam quality under pressure. We are using this to improve our stability and accuracy as the magazine gets lower. As you can see, grants 25 to 50% increase for accuracy and up to 30% for stability. So we are maxing out this stability with under pressure, so it barely bounces when you're shooting it. And on top of that, we have Head Seeker, so body shots landed with this weapon increase precision damage and aim assist for a short period of time. Body shots landed while this perk is active refreshes that timer, because we know we're all not perfect and we do hit body shots. Indeed, that precision hits is a nice little 8% damage increase, so if you do happen to hit some toes as they're jumping around, switch to their head real quick, you can get that nice 8% increase, and like I said, absolutely laser. Now for me and my gameplay style in PvP, I chose Icarus Grip. Just seems like the best for this weapon. You could use something like Quick Access Sling if you wanted to, or Backup Mag if you feel like the magazine of 30 isn't enough for you, but Icarus just felt right for me. And last but certainly not least, for our masterwork, we are going with that range masterwork on this bad boy, allowing us again to have that 55 on the range and then that 16 meter fall off, which again is so good for a sidearm inside of the Crucible. The highest we can get is 18.5 meters and the Drang is 17.5, so it's really not that big of a difference in my personal opinion, and it just feels so good. Now, right here, our PvE stats, as you can see, have that nice stability and handling still with that 39 to reload speed. I tried to get that up for us, but we still have 15.29 meters on that fall off, so we're able to do damage from a decent distance away, and we do have some pretty fun perks in our 3rd and 4th columns for that stasis synergy. Now, starting off in our barrel, going with Corkscrew Rifling for that plus 5 in stability, range, and handling. The jack of all trades for this column. Love using this perk for PvE. Now for me, I'm going with a Appended Mag on this, just like it more than Extended, because Extended absolutely tanks our reload speed, which this was already slow enough at 29 until we used our Masterwork to crank it up to 39. So I'm going with Appended Mag, so we have a bunch of shots in the magazine. Now, on top of that, in our 3rd column, we have a couple options, like I said. First off, what I think is my god roll would be Feeding Frenzy here to help with that little slower reload, so we can have it super high at ×5, and it basically feels like you are just reloading instantly when you have it stacked up to that high when you're getting those defeats with the weapon. Now, on top of that, again, you could go with something like Envious Assassin, where you have just an insane amount of bullets inside the magazine for this thing, upwards of 80 or 90, depending on how many defeats you get beforehand. So it's absolutely crazy. Like I said, the overflow of Envious Assassin is absolutely crazy when you have weapons that have a lot of bullets in them, like auto rifles, LMGs, stuff like that. So very fun perk, but I still think I would choose Feeding Frenzy over this. Now, in our fourth column, again, I think there's two options for you, and they are both very stasis centered. First off, we have Headstone Precision Final Blows, spawn stasis crystals at that location. Very nice for that stasis synergy, creating stasis shards, giving us that overshield of stasis, as well as shattering that crystal does some damage. So it is very good in my opinion, especially when you're pairing it with something like Feeding Frenzy. Headstone can be procced very often, and you're just have stasis crystals and stasis shards everywhere. Now, my other option in our fourth column would be Golden Tricorn. Final blows with this weapon grant bonus damage while this buff is active. Grenade or melee kills of the same damage type greatly increase its damage and duration. So you get 15% increased damage for 7 seconds when you get those defeats with weapons, and then the grenade and powered melee raise this up to 50% for 10 seconds. So you're able to do a lot of damage with this, and it pairs very well with stasis. I really couldn't pick in between these two. I think I would kind of tend towards Golden Tricorn and Feeding Frenzy as my 5 out of 5 God roll, just because Golden Tricorn with something like those Glacier grenades and your abilities, you can get some pretty gnarly combinations and going. And like I said, stasis crystals, stasis shards everywhere, depending on what you're using as your loadout. Now, for me, in the PvE realm, going with that miner spec just seems like the easiest, so we can get our column 4 perks to proc a little bit easier and get that 8% increased damage to those miners, which is our rank and final enemies, so those red bar enemies. And last but certainly not least, in our PvE realm, get that reload masterwork on this so we can get it up to 39 base, and hopefully you can get that Feeding Frenzy on so you don't really have to worry about reload. But like I said, it is a little bit slow being that low of a number for a sidearm, but this thing does feel very good, and with that stasis synergy, it's very fun to use. So thank you guys again for that crazy support lately. Y'all have absolutely been crushing it, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys again. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.